at 5 p.m. in the Dr. Ricardo Chapa Boardroom of the Administration Building of the McAllen Independent School District, located at 2000 North 23rd Street of McAllen, Texas. Items listed on this agenda may be taken in an order other than as shown on this agenda. Unless removed from the consent agenda, items identified within the consent agenda will be acted on at one time. At this meeting, there may be discussion and action by the board on the items and subjects listed as follows. Item 1, call the meeting to order. I have done so at 5 p.m. And for everybody to know, we have 4 trustees present, and we have Trustee Saldivar via technology. No, 5 present. And Trustee Saldivar is via technology. No. No, so we have 5 present and 1 via technology. Item 2, we will now have a moment of silence. Thank you so much. Item 3, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance.
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. That was a student, Javier Tejeda from Fossum Middle School. Item 4.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
That's all right. Item 4, public comments. No, we're going to do
The school board encourages public comments at all board meetings. According to Board Policy BED Local, board meetings and public participation and related district administrative procedures and practices. Persons wanting to make a statement to the board are required to register with the superintendent's secretary 1 hour prior to the start of the scheduled meeting. Audience participation at a board meeting is limited to the early stages of a meeting. At all other times during a board meeting, the audience shall not enter into discussion or debate on matters being considered by the board unless requested. Each participant is limited to 2 minutes per meeting to make comments to the board. At regular board meetings, the board shall permit public comments regardless of whether the topic is an item on the agenda posted with notice of the meeting. At all other board meetings, public comments shall be limited to only items on the agenda posted with notice of the meeting. The board shall not deliberate or decide regarding any subject that is not included on the agenda posted with notice of the meeting. If an issue mentioned is on tonight's agenda, the board will defer discussion of the issue until the appropriate time during the meeting. Should the speaker drift from the stated subject or becomes disruptive or abusive, he or she shall be given 1 warning. If a second warning is required, then the speaker may forfeit the remaining time allotment. The board shall not tolerate disruption of the meeting by members of the audience. The board has adopted complaint policies that are designed to secure at the lowest administrative level a prompt and equitable resolution of complaints and concerns. Please refer to the following policies. Student and or parent complaints should refer to policy FNG. Employees refer to policy DGBA, and citizens can refer to policy GF. Copies of district policies are available on the McAllen ISD website at mcallenisd.org.
Reuniones de la Junta Directiva, participación pública. En las reuniones ordinarias de la Junta permitirá comentarios públicos independientemente de si el tema es un tema de la agenda publicada con el aviso de la reunión. En todas las demás reuniones de la Junta, los comentarios públicos se limitarán a los puntos de la agenda publicados con el aviso de la reunión. Las personas que deseen participar durante la parte de la reunión designada para comentarios públicos deberán registrarse con el funcionario que preside o su designado antes del comienzo de la reunión, como se especifica en los procedimientos de la Junta sobre comentarios públicos, e indicarán el punto o tema de la agenda sobre el cual desean dirigir a la Junta. Los comentarios públicos se producirán al comienzo de la reunión, excepto a lo permitido por esta póliza. Los procedimientos de la Junta sobre comentarios públicos. Los comentarios de un individuo a la Junta no excederán los 2 minutos por reunión. Cuando sea necesario, para una gestión eficaz de la reunión o para dar cavidad a un gran número de personas que deseen dirigirse a la Junta, el funcionario que preside puede hacer ajustes a los procedimientos de comentarios públicos, incluido ajustar cuando se producirán los comentarios públicos durante la reunión, reordenar los puntos de la agenda, diferir los comentarios públicos sobre temas que no están en la agenda, continuar los temas de la agenda para una reunión posterior, brindar mayores oportunidades para comentarios públicos o establecer un límite de tiempo general para comentarios públicos y ajustar el tiempo asignado a cada orador. Sin embargo, a ninguna persona se le dará menos de 1 minuto para hacer comentarios. Se puede proporcionar información fáctica y específica o una descripción de la póliza existente en respuesta a consultas, pero la Junta no deliberará ni decidirá sobre ningún tema que no esté incluido en la agenda publicado con aviso de la reunión. El funcionario que preside o su designado determinará si una persona que se dirija a la Junta ha intentado resolver un asunto administrativamente a través de los canales de resolución establecidos por la póliza. En caso contrario, se remitirá al individuo a la póliza correspondiente para buscar resolución. Quejas de los empleados, DGBA. Quejas de estudiantes o padres, FNG. Quejas públicas, GF. La Junta no tolerará la interrupción de la reunión por parte de miembros de la audiencia. Si después de al menos una advertencia, funcionario que preside, cualquier individuo que continúe perturbando la reunión con sus palabras o acciones, el funcionario que preside puede solicitar asistencia de los funcionarios encargados de hacer cumplir la ley para sacar a la persona de la reunión.
Thank you so much. Our first speaker is Mr. Manuel Pescador. Mr. Pescador, once you start speaking, the timer will begin. You have 2 minutes. I will not interrupt you.
Ok, se lo voy a hacer en español. Los que se ofendan o que se sientan con un gran ego, traje una bolsita. For your ego. Si se sienten mal, si te digo Mrs. en lugar de Miss, yo no sabía. Ok, las pólizas de ustedes no son para mí, son para ustedes. Que yo creo que son pólizas que nos niegan los derechos, que nos ahorcan los derechos, porque yo no he visto ninguna póliza para que yo pueda platicar con ustedes más tiempo. Son cobardes, son incompetentes, son miedosos o son una liga de propaganda. ¿Qué son? ¿Ok? Ahorita están haciendo el show, como que todos están prestando atención. Es un show. Hasta ella que no habla español está haciendo el show. ¡Ay, qué interesante! ¿Verdad? No contestan los emails, no contestan mis visitas. Y ahorita están haciendo el show, que me están haciendo caso. No estamos en Televisa, no estamos en TV Azteca, ¿ok? Esta es una escuela, no es un negocio. Ubíquense, pongan a hacer cosas para los estudiantes, no para ustedes, no para que tu hermano o tu primo tenga trabajo aquí, o a tu hermana le den más dinero. Es una escuela. Tienen doctorados. Si no pueden, váyanse a la Tesla. Váyanse al mall a trabajar. Me dijo el señor Saldívar, a mí nomás me dan la cena, no me pagan. Pues salte, salte. Si nomás es por el taco, salte. Yo conozco a su hija.
Your time is over, Mr. Pescador.
Okay.
Our second speaker this evening would be Miss Ann Fortescue. No, sir, it's not. Your time is over. Ms. Fortescue, you're welcome to speak.
Good afternoon, Superintendent, school board members. Thank you so much for this opportunity to update you on the MISD-IMUS partnership. What are we doing right now for McAllen ISD at IMUS? IMUS has prioritized McAllen ISD for many years, giving early access to the academic calendar for scheduling field experiences. In school year 2022-2023, IMUS served over 5,000 students. Over 75% of those were from MISD. This year, January through March, is reserved for MISD kindergartners, first graders, and second graders. We're even open on Tuesdays, normally a day we're closed to the public, just for MISD. We're two very similar partners. We focus on doing good work. Much of it goes unseen, which is also true in the classroom. Our educators work effectively and efficiently directly with our district teachers and curriculum coordinators to ensure that MISD is meeting and surpassing the educational goals of the district, doing what we do best. IMUS makes learning fun, and when children have fun, they learn more. Currently, IMUS is transforming its museum facilities, enclosing 2 courtyards and relocating our permanent collections vault to increase museum exhibit and education spaces. 3 interactive galleries will be created to bring art and science learning together. This summer, 6 of the interactive exhibits for Creative Studio will arrive to give MISD students and other visitors a preview, building its excitement for this entire project. The MOU between IMUS and MISD addresses current needs and anticipates future ones with a focus on student field experiences. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Mr. Robert Carrion.
Hello, good evening, Madam President, Superintendent. My name is Robert Carrion. I'm here as a trustee of the International Museum of Arts and Sciences, and have been, through that year of service that I've been on the board, just thoroughly impressed with the way in which the museum has a dedicated focus towards those in our community who I would say have the most to gain from having a world-class institution like IMAS in our own community. And those are our children, and most specifically our children from under-resourced and low socioeconomic backgrounds. The transformation that the museum is going through is very exciting and is only possible through the partnership, the innovative partnership that we have with the school district. And as I learned this morning of the item later on the agenda to potentially end a portion of that partnership, I just had to question why. I understand in the associated agenda item that the school district is facing a roughly $6 million shortfall in this current academic year, and that's significant. But what I would note is that ending this partnership now, at the point at which we are ready to begin the process of launching these new interactive exhibits, which are enjoyed by the children of McAllen, might save a little bit of money in this school year, but it is going to create long-term challenges in inspiring the children of our community to the future. And it will do nothing to address the systemic budget constraints that have created this $6 million shortfall. That is a question that you all must figure out on your own. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Carrion. Our next speaker, Evelyn Cano. I do not believe she is here. Ms. Cano? I do not see her. We will go to our next speaker, Mr. Gerling, John Gerling.
Well, thank you, school board members and Superintendent Dr. Gutierrez, for your time this evening. I've served on the Kinta board and the IMAS board for over 15 years each, and it's my hope that my legacy to the community will be that I made a significant contribution to our educational resources. I believe we are currently involved in an historic educational opportunity, a partnership between MISD, UTRGV, Kinta, and IMAS to grant our students a unique and exceptional educational experience that is not seen elsewhere. Imagine students being able to work with professors doing state-of-the-art research in the important area of urban ecology, and also having great STEM experiences at IMAS and the soon-to-be Children's Museum. This can also help ease the transition from high school to college. One of my favorite sayings is, and Ann kind of made reference to it, we want young people to have so much fun they forget their learning. Further, I expect this important effort will inspire other communities to follow our lead and establish this type of combined educational effort. And with that, I would say thank you. That's THAN space CUE. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gerling. Our next speaker is Cassandra Moreno.
Hi, my name is Cassandra Moreno, and I am representing the Board of Trustees of IMAS. I'm their current president. I wanted to first thank you for the partnership that IMAS has with McAllen ISD in the collaboration for providing additional services and resources for the children. You know, when I think about the experiences that I have had as a child in a museum, there are some things that you simply cannot learn in a classroom. You can't understand how big a dinosaur is unless you stood under a dinosaur inside of a museum. You can't learn how chemicals go together unless you've played with them in a lot of these exhibits. There are things you cannot learn in a book. There are things you can only learn by attending a museum, participating, playing, and as children, they learn by playing. So when we built this collaboration a year ago, we looked at helping McAllen provide STEMS-based curriculum to children in a hands-on learning environment. It's revolutionary, and this partnership is going to last for years and years because the exhibits we've created are going to have a meaningful impact and in the children of this community, providing better performance on tests and the ability to participate well in learning STEMs. So when you think about cutting this, it's not a project at McAllen ISD. This is a curriculum-based learning tool that we are eliminating. The second thing I'd like to say is we've really worked hard on this. This project is far down the road. We have partnered with the curriculum department at IMAS, the curriculum department at McAllen ISD, and these exhibits are about to be delivered. It's kind of late. We have amazing world-class exhibits that are going to come into the museum and be seen by the children coming in. You already saw that the kindergartners, the first graders, the second graders, that's first graders, first graders, second graders will all be here. That's going to be delivered in July. Let us fulfill our end of the deal. Let us deliver what we were asked. I think it's going to be amazing and a great collaboration.
Thank you, Mrs. Moreno. Our next speaker is former trustee, former president, Danny Vela. Welcome back.
I think it's good to be back. Today, my comments will be directed to the Honorable President Aliceda, to our esteemed Board of Trustees, and my former colleagues, to Dr. Gutierrez and his amazing administration. It's good to be back in this room to see familiar faces and great friends. And on some days, I actually miss these meetings, you know? Today is my honor to say a few words before you, to thank you for the opportunity and to thank you for your commitment to serve all of the citizens of McAllen. Thank you also for your commitment to the Center for Urban Ecology, also known as the CUE. We recently broke ground on the CUE with the help of some major partners. Some of you were there. In approximately 2 years, we will be having our grand opening, and I'd like to say we hope to see all of you there. Your commitment to the CUE is valuable and will be the gift that keeps on giving for present and future students of McAllen ISD. When this opportunity came up for McAllen to be part of the queue. Some people ask, what does McAllen ISD get out of this opportunity? Well, let me tell you what's already happened and what's in the works, and the future is only what our imagination can hold. A tiny forest has already been established at Cathy Middle School. And today the folks and the people at the city of McAllen are putting together the touches on a grant proposal that will provide the school district with nearly a $3 million grant. A grant that will provide for seven schoolyard forests, 7 different campuses. If you do the math, that's nearly $400,000 for a schoolyard forest on 7 different campuses. These schoolyard forests,
Go ahead and continue, Trustee Ballard.
these schoolyard forests will develop the tree canopies from today's average of 5 to 8% to nearly 30%. This grant will create and install outdoor educational learning pods for the students to explore the outdoors. This grant will help develop, train, and deliver a forest science literacy curriculum. This grant is an opportunity as a reflection of our Center for Urban Ecology to continue the partnership with McAllen ISD. Of the $4 million commitment that McAllen ISD made to the queue, they have paid $1.25 million to that. This in-kind grant will cover the remaining balance for McAllen ISD, and it is just the beginning. It's not about funding one campus at Quinta. It is about funding and supporting over 30 campuses and 20,000 students at McAllen ISD. Help Quinta by not only keeping McAllen ISD's commitment in place, but help Quinta, along with all of our other partners, to nurture and to continue to develop the Center for Urban Ecology for all of the citizens of McAllen. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Trustee Ballard.
I appreciate the overtime.
You gave 16 years of duty here. That's the least we could do. Our next speaker is Val Lamantia.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam President, the board, Superintendent. I just want to echo what Danny said, because I've been in business a long time, and very few places do I go that I actually see a relationship between a school district and a city, and also a public entity like Quinta Mazatlan. And I'm here because we were told, or we saw, that there may be something going on between the contract between the city and Quinta and the school board. And I just want to say that this is a very valuable and a very fragile relationship, and it's built on trust, and it's built on just really performing, everybody performing at their level. I want to thank you all for basically believing in Quinta Mazatlan, believing in the Q, believing in UTRGV, and all the other entities that are going to be part of this particular endeavor. And just echoing what Danny said, this is a good relationship, and we want to keep this going. So thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Lamantia. Our next speaker is Herschel Patel.
Hi, for those that don't know me, I'm Herschel Patel, a proud resident of McAllen and a father to 2 McAllen ISD pupils, and I'll soon be enrolling my 3rd daughter in a McAllen ISD school. I'm also a local business person, and I have the honor of serving on both the boards of trustees with IMAS and Friends of Quinta Mazatlan. Today I'm here to advocate for the continued collaboration between MISD, Quinta Mazatlan, and IMAS. I'm speaking against the proposed retraction of funds from these great institutions. My daughters are fortunate to receive an excellent education, which is a testament not only to their great educators, but also to the outstanding educational resources available at Quinta and at IMAS. Their programs are crucial in providing experiences outside of the classroom that augment and enhance traditional learning. They offer students opportunities for hands-on learning, which is an important part of a well-rounded education. Each time my kids and I visit these facilities, their curiosity and learning is palpable. One additional point I'd like to make is that I've seen neighboring cities and how funds are often siloed and their collaboration is very limited. On the other hand, one of McAllen's greatest strengths is our cooperative spirit among its great institutions, including our educational facilities. Today, I urge our trustees to please reconsider the decision to uncommit the funds earmarked for Quinta and for IMAS. Let's continue to invest in our children's future by collaborating with and supporting these pillars of hands-on learning at a time when STEM performance in our country is declining. By doing so, we not only enrich their education and future, but we also strengthen the fabric of our community. Thank you for giving me and all of us here your time.
Thank you, Mr. Patel. Our 10th speaker is Frank Chavero.
Really good to see you. I'll be visiting you soon once again. Good afternoon, Madam President, school board members, Dr. Gutierrez, good to see you. I like all the comments that have been said so far about this public-private partnership. Those are important at times, and I can see what y'all are dealing with this budget shortfall. Those are important decisions and difficult decisions to make. Sometimes it's important to focus on the kids and everything that's already in the campuses. But I certainly do appreciate everything that the museum does for the city and the students here at McAllen ISD. My purpose is today, of course, to continue to advocate for the middle school mariachi programs here at McAllen ISD. I've spoken before about the necessity for these programs. But before I get to that, I want to take a moment to congratulate all 3 McAllen ISD schools that performed extremely well this past weekend at the 2024 UIL Mariachi South Zone Contest in La Jolla. McAllen ISD was the only district in Hidalgo County to bring back Division I ratings on sweepstakes for both varsity and JV groups. This was quite the accomplishment, especially for McI, as this was the first year that McI had the necessary instrumental elements to form a JV group. These accomplishments are a testament to the countless hours, sacrifice, and dedication that the students put in, but also for their directors. This accomplishment is surely worthy of board recognition in the near future. By earning Division I ratings, all 3 high school groups qualify for the State UIL Mariachi Festival in Seguin, Texas, later this year. I ask again for your support of the creation of the Mariachi Middle School program. Support the funding that's there for hiring 3 directors. These directors will have all the same university degrees in music education. They will be trained in music education, meeting all requirements, certified music educators, and will need to have the experience and education in the mariachi music genre. The funding will also include the purchase of much-needed instruments for these young musicians. The funding allocated would be modeled after every other music program in the middle school level and to be a yearly investment as part of the Fine Arts Department. Finally, if I could, Madam President, I want to take a moment to publicly again thank Ms. Deborah Loya for her tireless and unwavering support for this program and her dedication and commitment to all the programs in the Fine Arts Department. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chavero. Our next speaker is Ms. Jamie Brown Rosas.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, and Superintendent Gutierrez. My name is Jamie Brown Rosas. I'm a board member of the Friends of Quinta Mazatlan, and this coming fall, my daughter will be a first grader at MISD, so I'm here on both a personal and community level. I recently had the pleasure of watching President Debbie Crane Aliceda being interviewed for School Board Month. I thought it was a wonderful interview, especially when our school board president was asked the question, "What's your passion?" This was her answer, and I quote, "My passion is all things McAllen. It's so important to make sure that the children in our community have the same resources, the same things that other children have in big cities, big affluent cities that have all the resources. I just want to make sure we have everything, whether it's fine arts, athletics, academics, everything that the big cities have," end quote. While names of big affluent cities weren't mentioned in that interview, I know that our city of McAllen works every day to bring resources here that you'd see in places like San Antonio, Houston, and Dallas. These larger cities do have state-of-the-art centers of learning like what you'd see with the expansion of Quinta Mazatlan and the Center for Urban Ecology, the Q. The Q will encourage and challenge students of all ages to take leadership initiative and work on real-world projects to continue and enhance their learning. The Q ensures that our children will have what the big cities have. I'll wrap up my comment advocating for the support of Quinta Mazatlan and the Q with another quote from that same interview, School Board Month interview. The interviewer asked our president if she would share any advice to young kids today. The answer was, quote, "My advice to children, to students in the community is ask. Ask and we'll find a way," end quote. While I'm not a current MISD student, I am a former one, and I, along with my fellow board members, ask our MISD school board to find a way to continue supporting Quinta Mazatlan. Thank you, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mrs. Rosas. Our next speaker is Diane Bartek.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Madam President, Dr. Gutierrez, board members. My name is Diane Bartek, and I am on the board of Quinta Mazatlan. And I'm here also to sort of echo everything my fellow board members have said. But I would like to just divert a bit, because today when I was online on the website, the McAllen ISD website, to register, I wanted to find out a little bit more about what the board really, their vision and their mission. And I printed it out, and I was reading it, and I said, you know, your vision and Quinta Mazatlan's vision are hand in hand. We believe in the same things. We want to do the same things, perhaps in a little bit different way. I mean, ours is the Center for Urban Ecology, which those of you who were there at our groundbreaking recently, I hope you had the wow feeling that I had when I first saw that project, that has taken us 10 years to get to the point of groundbreaking. It's been a long time coming, and the commitment from McAllen ISD of the $4 million is crucial. We'll still build it, and they will come, but it's going to be a hell of a lot easier if you continue the commitment, and I'm here to please beg you to consider it very strongly. I know that we all have budget crunches, and I appreciate that, but if there's any way that you can dig down somewhere else and come up with the $4 million to continue the project, we would deeply appreciate it. And I appreciate your commitment to the city. My father was on the board. He was president of the school board in a little town where I grew up, and it was not a nice job. So I know you guys suffer every day from what he did, but thank you for your commitment, and thank you for the commitment to our children.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bartek. That concludes our public comments this evening. We will now go to item number 5, the superintendent's report. Dr. Gutierrez.
Yes, recently we started a new video series that will highlight different programs, departments, and campuses across McAllen ISD. This is so our parents and communities can have a better understanding of what goes on across our district. It is called Super Excellence. Our first episode centered on school safety and security. So we have a video that we want to show everyone, and we will continue to highlight programs and campuses throughout the district for the remainder of the semester, so that the community has a better understanding of the work that our staff is doing for all children at McAllen ISD. So go ahead and roll out the video at this time. Hello, McAllen ISD. This is Dr. Rene Gutierrez, Superintendent of Schools. I'm here visiting our police department. We want to showcase what our police department has, the equipment, also the personnel and the services that we provide, so that we can keep all our students and our staff safe in the McAllen Independent School District. Chief, would you like to show me some of the equipment that we have in our police department in our school district?
Yes, sir, Dr. Gutierrez. Thank you for being here. First off, appreciate you being here with your support. So just a couple of items here that we wanted to showcase so that individuals know. As we know, post Uvalde, you know, there was some issues that were brought out that came to light, and everybody was kind of scrambling to try to figure things out, right? We have what's called a less lethal shotgun. So individual poses a potential threat, and or we don't want to use lethal means. We end up deploying that, so we're able to remedy a situation without seriously injuring an individual. What we have here is we have tools so that we're able to gain entry into doorways. Of course, again, post Uvalde, individuals were having a hard time trying to get in, trying to figure things out with keys. And what I like to call it is, of course, you got your tools to maintain forcible entry. You have your core key so that you're able to core it out. And then I like to call it the third master key, which is going to be your breaching shotgun. So at this point, again, we have officers in-house that are instructors. All our officers are certified to utilize it. And if and when we ever need to gain entry by utilizing it, then we can always deploy it and utilize it as well.
We also have canines in our district, and tell us about what they do. Oh my God.
Yes, sir. So this particular canine, this is Buddy.
Buddy, okay.
He's the newest addition to the family. We got him back in May. He's a therapy dog.
Okay.
So what this dog is utilized for is when individuals, students go into any kind of crisis, whether it's behavioral or mental health crisis, we end up deploying the dog out there with Officer Bernal. Of course, he's in plain clothes so that he doesn't show that faction of being in uniform. He's in an unmarked unit.
Okay.
So when dealing with these particular situations, the dog stays from start to finish. So the dog gets deployed, he's part of it, it puts a child at ease, it brings them down, it helps them, and he stays with it. So basically it's pretty much like a comfort security blanket, if you will. We call this our Emergency Operations Center. So this is where we're able to utilize and view all our surveillance cameras. So we have 2 camera monitors that are always viewing all the cameras, especially in regards to high trafficked areas. You notice right now a lot of the cafeterias, courtyards are up. So they basically tell us what's going on, right? And another thing that we utilize them for is, because this is an emergency operations center, is if and when we end up having a given situation, a power main break and the water's gonna be out for a good while, then we end up activating the district emergency response team, and all leadership, to include yourself and myself, are here making decisions that have to be made, whether you want to end up allowing students to go home early because of the water main, or if it is a particular type law enforcement response, then at that point we're making decisions together as to how to formulate and what to do moving forward to make sure that campus goes back to normalcy.
I want our parents and our community members to know that in the McAllen Independent School District, our students and our staff are very safe due to a tremendous police department that we have, led by our Chief Silva and his staff. And I just want to thank you and thank your police department for being out there and for your service to keeping us safe every single day in our school district. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Gutierrez. Our next item on the agenda is recognitions. We have none. Our next item is item 7, proclamations. 7A, discussion and possible action on proclamation regarding School Board Recognition Month, January 2024. Dr. Gutierrez.
Yes, January is a School Board Recognition Month in Texas. We appreciate our trustees who devote so much of their time away from their families for the betterment of our students, parents, staff, and community. As a high-performing school district, it would not be possible without these hardworking school board members. At this point, I would like to turn it over to our Director of Marketing and Communications, Mr. Mark May, who has more on this item to recognize our board members.
Thank you, Dr. Gutierrez, and ladies and gentlemen of the board. Each January, we honor the community volunteers who serve on their local school boards. The 2024 School Board Recognition theme is Locally Elected, Community Connected. In Texas, school board members are elected by community members who trust them to do what is best for students. This connection ensures that board members are accountable to local voters, attuned to the needs of their communities, and dedicated to a brighter future. And we want to show our appreciation. We have some students representing our high schools and our vertical teams here with us tonight. They have some gifts for you, and they'll be reading our proclamation for School Board Recognition Month. So if our trustees, Dr. Gutierrez, if y'all could come to the front of the risers. We'll begin with McAllen High School, and they're representing not only their school, but their vertical team, and they're led by student Janya Maldonado, the student body president. So come on in.
Whereas the mission of the public schools is to meet the diverse educational needs of all children and to empower them to become competent, productive contributors to a democratic society and an ever-changing world.
And we're going to take a group picture here. The McAllen High students and our board, our team of 8.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I can't see Debbie. Debbie, yeah, I'm losing you. Move a little. There you go. Just so you're in a window. There you go. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3.
And next we have Memorial High School and student Tanya Canales, their student council president.
Whereas local school board members are committed to children and believe that all children can be successful learners and that the best education is tailored to the individual needs of the child.
One right here on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, and 3.
And now representing Rowe High School and its vertical team, we have student Emilian Sosa, the student council president.
Whereas local school board members are strong advocates for the children, parents, employees, and community members, and are responsible for communicating the needs of the school district to the public and the public expectations to the district.
right here on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, and 3. Thank you.
And next, representing Achieve Early College High School, we have student Natalie Silva.
We urge all citizens to join us in recognizing the dedication and hard work of local school board members and in working with them to mold an education system that meets the needs of both today's and tomorrow's children.
So you might need to go with this stuff. There you go, perfect. All right, ready? One right here. Oh no, I can't see your nose yet. Little, there we go. Okay. One right here on 2. Ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, and 3. Thank you.
And now, representing Lamar Academy, we have student Elena Arganal.
Now therefore, we do hereby declare our appreciation to the members of the McAllen Independent School District Board of Trustees and proclaim the month of January 2024 as School Board Recognition Month.
Tori. Yeah, name it Tori. Name it Tori. Okay, guys, right here on 3. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, and. Thank you. Thank you so much.
That concludes our proclamation, and again, congratulations to our school board, and we appreciate everything you do for our community.
Thank you so much. We are now at item 8, donations. We do not have any. Then we move to item 9, 9A through 9M. What say you, board?
Consent.
Madam President, I move to approve the consent agenda items.
Second. It's been moved by trustee Regalado, second by trustee Peña, to approve items 9A through 9M. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Let's see. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for reminding me of that. We will go back to item 7A. This is for action this evening. It's the proclamation of the incredible school board from McAllen ISD.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by trustee Peña and seconded by trustee Rivera. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Now we will go back to where we currently were. On page 6, item 10A. Instructional Services, 10A1, report regarding agreement number 2024-289, Liberty Source LLC. Dr. Gutierrez.
Yes, this agreement with Liberty Source provides advanced analytics software to the district. Ms. Laura Williams, our Director for Purchasing Services, will be available to answer any questions.
Yeah, just get a chair.
Board of Trustees and Dr. Gutierrez, are there any questions regarding Liberty Source, i.e. Tango software? Tango software will be replacing EdSpire that we currently have, our contract with Region 1. We will embark on Tango for elementary and middle school, STAR, release test, analytics for this current semester, for semester 2. And then for the following school year, we will look at utilizing Tango for elementary, middle school, and high school. In order to provide the analytics for the high school portion, we will utilize DMAC only for the TSI portion that we currently have. We are looking to amend that contract with excuse me, not with DMAC, I apologize, with EdSpire, just for the TSI portion only. And then for DMAC, we are looking to continue. We have our current process right now, or contract, as you see here, for $77,927. Any questions?
We presented this software to the administration, and they love this new system, along with teachers that it has been very favorable by the staff as well, that it's going to help us do more data desegregation, but it will be more user-friendly, along with generating reports a lot faster and better for the teachers not to waste so much time. So it's been well received by the administration and by the staff.
This item is for information purposes only. Is there any further discussion? All right. We will move to item 10A2, discussion and possible action of the district-wide pre-K 4 program. Dr. Gutierrez.
Yes, research across the United States shows that effective pre-kindergarten programs help students start kindergarten with the skills needed to boost early literacy and academic achievement and reduce the risk of grade retention. Dr. De Hoyos, Assistant Superintendent for Instructional Services, will share more about the information of our pre-kindergarten program that we're proposing for next year. Go ahead, Dr. De Hoyos.
Thank you, Dr. Gutierrez, and good evening, Board. House Bill 3 mandates that all eligible 4-year-old children receive a full-day pre-kindergarten. At McAllen ISD, children may participate in a full-day pre-K-4 program at any elementary campus through the following programs: the traditional program, the universal program, or the tuition program. Now, for the traditional program, the students need to qualify by meeting a set of criteria, and is free for those who do. The universal program is for students who do not meet the qualifying criteria for the free pre-kindergarten program, yet the district has allocated limited first-come, first-served space to assist students in our community. And then the third one is the tuition program for students who do not qualify and do not get a universal spot. Parents have the option to pay. Currently, we have 912 students in the pre-kindergarten program on all 3 programs combined. I don't know why it's not showing. Okay, so now I would like to share with you our community need. Based on the request for Universal Pre-Kinder 4 for this current 23-24 school year, we received 205 requests for the Universal program. 70 were accommodated under the Universal, and 19 chose to enroll in the tuition program, leaving an unmet need of 116 students. We can conclude that 116 requests plus the 13 tuition students result in 149 needed seats. For calculation purposes, we will say that 150 additional seats will meet the needs of our community. Now, I would like to share with you the breakdown. If we accommodate 150 students at 22 students per classroom, we will need 7 additional classrooms. The breakdown of the projected cost of the 7 classrooms will go to salaries of 7 teachers, 7 paraprofessionals, which is estimated at $700,000. The furniture for the classroom at a one-time estimated expense of $105,000, and an estimated amount for a curriculum of $70,000 for a one-time expense for 8 years. In summary, the additional 7 classrooms will be at an estimated cost of $875,000. Tonight, we ask that for the Board of Trustees to consider the approval of offering the pre-kindergarten for all. By providing the additional classrooms, we will meet the need of our McAllen community. Are there any questions?
Just a comment, if I may, Madam President.
Yes.
In speaking about the universal pre-K, it's reasonable for us to anticipate that wherever these students begin, these 150 or so students that are asking for this from us, wherever they begin their education, they're likely to continue, right? And these students, while we do not get ADA, or we won't get funding, right, for these slots?
No, this will be the ones that do not meet criteria. We would not get funding.
So this would be an investment essentially in what we're making in the future of the district.
Right.
Okay. No, I mean, I really like that we are looking to these efforts. I think it's a hugely smart investment in our future. So I like that we're thinking in that way.
And we will be able to retain our students to the following years to come if we offer that.
Madam President, if I may?
Yes,
And I just
Trustee
want to echo on Trustee Regalado's thoughts on that. I think it's great. I think it's going to be extremely beneficial to the district. I hope that we're going to have a full set marketing campaign out there so that we can allow the community to know that McAllen ISD is starting to open their doors to children of 4 years of age, and I know there might be plans for the future to go even younger, but if we can attract as many students to McAllen ISD and showcase exactly what it is here in our district, I think it's a fabulous idea. So.
Trustee Peña?
Yes, thank you so much, Madam President, and thank you for that presentation. We've discussed this before, and as we grow our own, you know, when we're talking about allowing 4-year-olds, and we have a wonderful partnership with Head Start that takes care of our 3-year-olds as well. And so those together means that more children will be in school, even at a younger age, and that's great for our community across the board, for the district. And so I'm really proud of this project. You know, Dr. Gutierrez, you just got here, and this is make a huge impact on our enrollment. So I'm really happy about this project.
Thank you, Trustee Peña. Trustee Kittleman?
When would this be effective, this upcoming school year?
If it's approved tonight, we will start recruiting and informing our community and get started in August.
Do we have an idea of where these classrooms would be and what schools?
We have our campuses that have space right now. Those will be the additional classrooms that we will have. Yes.
Thank you, Trustee Kittleman. Trustee Saldivar?
Thank you, Madam President. I think this is great. I think it really goes to help build green the 86 legislature intended for school districts to utilize those funds to expand the true universal pre-K program. And we were quite there. So this is going to get us to that position that we really should be getting to. But to follow up on a couple of the questions, I think we should maybe explain that children in our district, to parents that live in our district, they need to be taken priority, correct? So they will be looked at first, be assigned to whatever homeschool or school within their neighborhood. Is that the plan?
Yes.
Yes, that's correct. The priority would be for McAllen ISD who reside in our zones as a priority for the pre-K for all kids. So yes, our kids will be priority.
Good. Now, a concern, I think, Trustee Alita and I were visiting with you about this last week, is that there are some schools, though, some home campus schools, the neighborhoods, that are way beyond capacity. So what's your thought, what you're thinking about how you would handle that to make sure they come with McAllen, but at the same time recognizing that there's 3 or 4 campuses that are way above capacity right now?
Of course, if they're at capacity, we're always going to give them the option for the next nearest school. We will try as much as possible to accommodate the district, the kids that belong within that campus. But if there's no more space, then we will give them options for surrounding campuses nearby. So the intent here is to try to get the kids enrolled and get them in one of the schools. If it's not their home school, a nearby school. But I believe for the most part, most of the kids will be able to attend their home campus. But yes, we may have a few that may be at overcapacity, but we'll look at other surrounding campuses nearby that we can also fit them into one of our schools nearby.
Now, you've had partnerships for some time now with Head Start. They're on various campuses. In many cases, they have their own wing for their classroom. And I understand you've spoken to them, but how many students currently are within the Head Start program, which is totally separate from us?
I know, Dr. Yos, you
Yes,
have that
we
number.
have 309 right now. I know I have it in my other.
Those are 3-year-olds, right?
Yes, just 3-year-olds.
But the 4-year-olds?
In collaboration with I know that we have 64 3-year-olds in Wilson and 33 4-year-olds. So I'll get you the math and send it to you, Mr. Sandy.
I think you shared that information with us, and really it was kind of a precept to this point. Is that when we started, I started with 25 students as a pilot on one campus, I think it was a model, and then it's expanded to where we are today. The question I have is, and what it leads to regarding universal pre-K, is how many of those, what percentage, what number of, by us moving with Head Start and partnering with Head Start, are we able to retain those students moving into kinder and beyond?
Yes, of course, that's always, the idea is that we start them also for the ones that don't qualify and open our doors to the kids that don't qualify so that they can start with us and keep them in our schools for the remainder of the grades that they have. We've already contacted Head Start. We told them that we are bringing this proposal to the board, but it's not going to affect the Head Start criteria. They will continue with the criteria, recruiting their kids, and then we're gonna go ahead and allow the ones that don't qualify to enroll also in our schools. So, but Head Start will continue to recruit their kids that qualify under their criteria.
And if I may continue to answer the question, you were asking what percentage of the Head Start students do we retain? Currently, we are retaining about 70 to 75% of those students. They stay within our campuses.
Thank you, Dr. Yeah, and thank you, Dr. for pointing out that Head Start's aware, and their criteria is different from that of the criteria of the district. So we're not competing, but at the same time, we are working and accommodating to the degree we can within our campuses. But the beauty is the answer I just received, which is that we've proven that with that program, getting 75%, 77%. So if we get that equal in the universal, we'll do well to then get the ADA the following. So as I understand it, this coming year, the district for pre-K4, this program, we're going to have to absorb those costs. That's correct.
That's correct. Yes.
And that's the reason we're making all these open efforts to look at all possibilities in the district to repurpose funds to highlight the programs that we know will lead us to success in a better position.
Correct. It's a long-term investment.
Yes. Thank you, Madam President. Thank you all for your answers, and Dr. Rose for your presentation.
Thank you, Trustee Saldivar. For myself, I'll just reiterate what I said at the workshop. I think it's a wonderful idea to have pre-K4. My pause, my hesitation is doing it at the home campuses. I think that when you're taking a classroom away from 22 students that could be in a 5th grade class or 4th grade class that bring ADA, that generate revenue to our school district, I prefer that and moving pre-K4 to a separate standalone academy, perhaps in an elementary school that's underutilized in an entire wing. This is only 7 classrooms. We have 19 elementary schools. So if we could open it up even larger and have an academy, instead of putting it at the home campuses, I think as a parent, it would be received better to have, you want your 4-year-old at a campus all by itself instead of with 4th and 5th graders. I think that might go well for our customer. But I think for the school district too, being able to generate that ADA on our home campus and having those open slots for people that can transfer in from out of district, I think that that's something that we should look at. And I know, Dr. Gutierrez, we spoke about it, and I know you are. This is for action this evening, though, so what say you, Board?
Madam President, I move to approve the pre-K4 district-wide program.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee Rivera and second by Trustee Regalado. I'm sorry, Trustee Saldivar, do you have a comment?
No, I'm sorry. I'm voting. I'm sure there's no delay in my vote.
Thank you so
already.
much. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Item 10B1, discussion, did I miss something?
Yeah, 10B1.
Okay, we're on to 10B, Human Resources. 10B1, discussion and possible action of revisions to Board Policy BE Local. This is the second reading. Dr. Gutierrez.
Yes, we're bringing this item as a second reading. We've talked about it before. So at the November 13th, 2023 board meeting, board members recommended 2 changes to Policy BE Local. Mr. Todd Miller, Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources, will share more about this item. Go ahead.
Good evening. Thank you, sir. So Board Policy BE, second reading. Board Vice President Trustee Sam Saldivar Jr. proposed changing the deadline for submitting items for inclusion on the agenda from the 4th calendar day before regular meetings to the 9th calendar day before regular meetings. Current proposed change is the deadline for submitting items for inclusion on the agenda is the 9th calendar day before regular meetings and the 3rd calendar day before special meetings. That's the first proposed change as part of Policy BE. The second, Board Trustee Lucia Regalado proposed changing the following. In reviewing the preliminary agenda, the Board President shall ensure that any topics the Board or individual Board members have requested to be addressed are either on that agenda or scheduled for deliberation at the next regular Board meeting. Action is required on this item. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Trustee Saldivar, do you have any questions?
No questions. I move to approve the update Board Policy BE Local. Thank you.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? I have discussion. Many of you will know the history of this is because I brought this up 5 meetings ago because I, as a board member, wanted the agenda changed so that one board member could not ask for an agenda item. It had to be a minimum of 2 board members to ask for something to be put on the agenda. I won't go into we've debated this numerous times, so I will be voting in the negative, but for that reason, I do not think that one person should have that much power. So I will call, unless there's any further discussion, I will call for and I'm sorry, it was Trustee Rivera who motioned it, who first?
Trustee Saldivar.
And then seconded. Okay, so it's been moved by Trustee Saldivar and seconded by Trustee Rivera. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. So it is 4 in favor and 2 Trustee Kittleman and Trustee Aliceda against. Now we're on to 10C, District Operations. There is none. Oh, I'm sorry, 10B2, Discussion and Possible Action of Revision of Board Policy DEC, second reading. Dr. Gutierrez.
Yes, also, due to the recent Texas legislative actions, McAllen Independent School District needs to update Board Policy DEC local to ensure compliance with House Bill 471 and House Bill 1486. Mr. Miller has more information on this item. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, sir. Compensation benefits, leaves, and absences. So this policy DEC is due to recent legislative action. So House Bill 1486 requires full-time telecommunicator dispatchers be provided mental health leave like peace officers. Mental health leave, a district peace officer or a full-time district telecommunicator or dispatcher, if you will, as defined by law, who experience a traumatic event in the scope of employment shall be granted a maximum of 5 days of mental health leave per traumatic event. The superintendent shall develop regulations regarding mental health leave that address the following: circumstances or reasons under which an eligible employee may use mental health leave. The next House Bill, Compensation, Benefits, Leaves, and Absences, House Bill 471, requires a district to provide paid leave to police officers who experience an illness or injury related to their line of duty. This is a new paragraph that TASB has recommended we add: line of duty, illness, or injury, leave of absence. Following a leave of absence with full pay, as required by law, the police officer may use accumulated leave in accordance with administrative guidelines. The district shall not extend the leave of absence for a police officer's line of duty, illness, or injury. And this is second reading, and action is required.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Trustee Pena?
I'd like to just make a comment. This is the right thing to do. Our telecommunications or 911 operators, the person that answers the phone and takes the initial call, makes the first contact with the person calling 911 for whatever the case may be, should be afforded mental health days or days of leave to take care of themselves as well. They have to maintain their composure when everybody else might be losing their mind regarding the matter. And so, much like law enforcement officers, they experience very traumatic situations, and the right thing to do is for us to afford them that time to take care of themselves as well.
Thank you, Trustee Pena. Any further discussion? This is for action this evening.
I move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee Pena, second by Trustee Rivera. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Trustee Saldivar, did you vote? He's frozen. It is a 5-0.
Sam.
We'll move on to item 10C, district operation items. 10D, business operation items. 10D1, report regarding agreement number 2024-183, investment advisory services. Dr. Gutierrez.
Yes, Meter Public Funds provides investment management services for the district. At this time, Mr. David McLean, Director of Advisory Services from Meter Public Funds Patterson Group, will present this report. Did I pronounce your last name, sir, correct?
Yes, sir. That was fine.
Okay.
That was fine. So, Superintendent and President and board members, thank y'all very much for the opportunity to be here. Thank you for the opportunity to have partnered up and been in partnership as your investment advisor. Meter Public Funds had acquired Patterson and Associates, who was the original contract for you guys for years. And Meter Public Funds has a 50-year history. They've been serving public funds since 1990, so 34 years in that space. So a very heavy commitment to the public funds sector We advise over 48 billion in total assets collectively, and we work with about 70 clients here in the state of Texas, to include yourselves, and about another half dozen here in the RGV. But if we forward to the next slide, is it me here just pushing the button? No. So, you know, we don't just simply advise you on the investments. We have a comprehensive suite of services that we work collectively with the team. It starts with the investment policy renewal each year. We try to see if there's some things we can do to give the policy more flexibility, given what the Fed cycle has been or is going to be. And as we all know, the Fed has raised rates to 20-year highs, and now it's fairly evident. The last time we met, the question was, are they going to go one or two more times? They've paused now 3 out of the last 4 times, and it's quite evident the next move is going to be down. So where cash rates have been kind of king, they allowed you to capture the movements on the way up. That's going to be the area that's going to be punitive when the Fed starts to act and begins to cut rates down. But the other things that we do on a comprehensive basis, we work with your team on the cash flow analysis, the budget forecast, to try to best position the portfolio in the active securities and ladder them out. And we'll continually, you know, work on the investment strategy depending on whether you're issuing bonds or what you have going on as far as your general funds or construction funds. Obviously, we do your trade execution once the team agrees to go forward with the game plan. We do your monthly reporting and your quarterly reporting, which we're going to follow through with here. And we also do compliance monitoring just to make sure we're staying within the policy limitations. We are also, we've got our own internal credit research. So when we're advising short-term investments such as commercial paper, that universe is typically 300 issuers. We're going to kind of make it cream of the crop. We're only going to advise typically about 65 to 70 names in that universe. And last but not least, when it comes time for you guys to renew banking contracts, or if you're seeking maybe a new relationship for custody or safekeeping, we've got a lot of experience in that area, and that's just another extension of what you get with us as your advisor. We are proposing this year moving to what's become more prevalent in our industry. It's asset-based fee structure. Last year's contract was a flat rate, $24,000 charged quarterly. The new proposal would be on the actively invested securities, that the first $25 million gets charged at 9 basis points. Over $25 million to $50 million, it declines to 7, and then it just stair steps down as the active investments, if they were to get larger, the fees would go down as the account grows. The minimum fee on the account would be $10,000, assuming that you went into cash for some reason, if there was some shortfalls and you wanted to lean into the pools. But the fees you don't get charged on your local government investment pools, your government money market funds. Any cash in the bank is not subject to the fee structure. It's simply those investments in consultation with you that are subject to the fee schedule. As we move forward, this is the economic update for this quarter we just closed in December. Obviously, we've seen the labor markets have been loosening a little bit, job growth slowing down a little bit, and the inflation rate, thankfully, is coming down off of where we were last June. We were up at 9%. Now we're seeing the personal consumption expenditures are now down around 2.5%. Getting closer to that Fed's target objective. And we still got a little bit of stickiness around kind of the core CPI staying in the maybe 3.5% area. But gas prices are down, which is good. There's a lot of inputs that are going to continue to contribute to the inflation rate staying tame or getting even better. The next slide there, growth has exceeded expectations. The Philadelphia Fed economists who give us their surveys for what they expect growth to be. The last 3 quarters have been about double what the Fed has anticipated. Texas is stronger than most states nationally. We're well above average. So I think we can take a little consolation if we are coming into a soft landing, but it doesn't appear that the country's at risk of going into a deep recession. On the next slide, simply some of the points that give us a little bit of pause for concern. It appears that the average consumer may be a little tapped out. We're seeing Credit card delinquencies on the rise. We're seeing some mortgage delinquencies, people paying their mortgages, getting a little late. And last but not least, some of the auto loans, we're seeing delinquencies there. This is the Federal Reserve dot plot. We probably looked at it last time, but it's comparing in orange what the consensus members of the Fed were thinking back in September versus December. And as you move from left to right, we're moving into 2024. You can see the consensus members are expecting rates to continue to ratchet down 24, 25, and 26. So over the next 2 to 3 years, most of the expectations are that the Fed is probably going to cut a full 2+ percent. As recently as the end of December, after the Fed paused for the third consecutive meeting, there was about an 80% chance they thought the Fed might start to cut in March. That number right now is about 52%, so it's a 50-50. So anybody's guess is there. Most predictions are that they're going to cut at least 3 times this year, and some of them are calling for as much as 6 cuts this year. So cash rates, we know they're going to come down at some point. So the portfolio itself, we finished December. We had about 73% was in cash, almost $115 million. And the actively invested portion of the portfolio was $42.7 million. That would be the portion that would be subject to the fee-based assets schedule. And the total portfolio closed at $157.6 million. The weighted average yield was 4.82%, and the weighted average maturity was just under 3 months. So based on that weighted average yield, the projected income on the portfolio would be tracking at almost $7.6 million. And just a comparison here on the far right column, this is where we finished out the Q2 ending December 31st of 23. And the far left column was where we were a year ago. I would attribute, that decline was mostly spend down. And then as we come into Q3, as tax collections come in, we would expect Q3 of this year to probably be your high water mark. But we think that the yield, the interesting comparison there, if you look at where we were a year ago, the average yield was a little over 281, and we're almost a full 2% higher here 12 months later. And that's a direct result of the Federal Reserve having raised rates so aggressively. But now we're just kind of warning everyone, be on the lookout. The next move, big move, is going to be back to the downside. If there's any questions you have specifically on the portfolio or any economic update, feel free to fire away.
This item was for information purposes only. All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you all very much.
We're on item 10C, district operations items. There are none. 10D, I believe Ms. Trustee Saldivar is trying to call in. Okay, we will go on to 10D, yes, my apologies. 10D2, report regarding the monthly financial and investment report for November 2023. Dr. Gutierrez.
Yes, Mrs. Iris Luna, our Chief Financial Officer, will present the monthly financials for November of 2023. Go ahead, Ms. Luna.
Thank you. Good evening, board members. Dr. Gutierrez, let me increase the size on this. Our November monthly financials, we had revenues of $86,786,335. Expenditures this month were at $80,217,491, with revenues over expenditures of $6,568,844. At November, our market value, ending market value, was $154,146,593, with our average yield to maturity at 4.738%. And on this slide, it shows you the current November earnings at $565,000, and fiscal year to date earnings is $2,804,000. Yay! And that concludes my report.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Luna. Any questions from the trustees? Okay, we'll move to item 10D3, report regarding taxes collected for November 2023. Dr. Gutierrez.
Yes, also Ms. Iris Luna, Chief Financial Officer, will report on the monthly taxes collected by the Hidalgo County Tax Office on behalf of McAllen ISD for November of 2023.
Yes, the taxes collected for November 2023. On this report, usually we see our levy on that first column where it says original tax levy. However, because of our VATRE, we had to send it out late. Their software cannot put it in that column, the county software. So it's under the column modification to dates, and that's the 86,308,387. But the collections to date, you'll look at current is 0.75% versus last year at 0.81%, and our prior years is 21.51% at and collected last year was 15.47%. And I attribute the less probably because of the late VATRE and the late statements going out. So I'm sure we're starting to collect more in the month of December and January. And that concludes my report.
That gives me great pause, great concern because, no, my apologies. It's very concerning because that's, I mean, taxes collected, that's how we generate revenue, right?
Correct.
And so the way that the county tax assessor did that, and he didn't, the two different statements, I think that a lot of people are confused. So that when they got their initial tax statement, they thought that was it. And then when they got the another one with just McAllen ISD, they tossed that aside. They're not paying it. It makes us all very nervous that we're gonna have a lot of unpaid taxes. And I just wonder if the tax assessor or if our delinquent tax firm or if we can send out some sort of notice or public educate, something, you know, info commercial or something to the residents of McAllen. And it's not just McAllen. I believe all the surrounding school districts did tax ratification election, and all of our tax statements went out separately. And so maybe as a group we can all do some sort of, I don't know, an ad in the newspaper, a social media blitz, something to let people know that you do indeed have two different tax statements and you need to pay your school district taxes.
Correct. We've gotten a lot of calls into our district. Of course, we couldn't give out that information because the county is the one that does the collections for us, and they're the ones that have it on their system. We can try to direct them to where to go, but we did have that confusion because they thought that when the McAllen statement was going out, that was their new taxes for everything, which was not the case. That was just for McAllen ISD. But I will talk with the tax assessor collector and see what we can do to make sure that everybody out there comes out and, of course, pays their taxes.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Luna. Okay, we'll go to item 10D4, discussion and possible action on the McAllen Independent School District December budget amendment for fiscal year beginning July 1, 2023 and ending June 30, 2024. Dr. Gutierrez?
Yes, administration is recommending the approval of the December 2023 budget amendment for this school year of the 23-24.
Yes, the December budget amendment, technically I don't have very many large items. The only large items that I do have on this report is the $500,000 that from assigned fund balance we gave for additional buses to be purchased, and at the bottom here, $100,000 for our FMO vehicles and mowers that we gave. Those are basically the two highest amounts that we did this past December.
And to be clear, Ms. Luna, those were budgeted items. You're just moving them from one fund to the another fund.
Correct.
Any further questions? This is for action this evening.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by trustee Regalado, second by trustee Peña. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. And let the record reflect that trustee Saldivar is present again. He was absent at 6:08 and he logged back in at 6:24. Hello, Mr. Trustee Saldivar. Okay, we will now go to item 10D5. Discussion and possible action on amendment to agreement number 2024-159 real estate sales contract with Almondine Properties LLC. Dr. Gutierrez.
Yes, administration is recommending the approval of the amendment. Ms. Laura Williams, our Director of Purchasing, is available for any questions on this item.
Good evening, Board of Trustees and Dr. Gutierrez. Any questions regarding the amendment for our sale of property for the South 17th and the proposed extension of the closing date?
Ms. Williams, for purposes of the community that's watching, can you tell us a little bit about the property on South 17th?
Okay. The information that we do have is we have been, well, let me back up. With the South 17th, this is the old Roosevelt building that has been proposed to be sold within the amendment that is listed here, would be sold for approximate amount of $561,000. We are proposing again tonight for the extension of the amendment for the sale of the property for 90 days. But it is the South Roosevelt, or the old Roosevelt.
Thank you.
On South 17th. Yes, ma'am.
I believe, Trustee Pena, the issue, it was an easement, and
Yeah.
that's been resolved, so that's why it's coming before the board again.
Correct.
I just want a clarification, because we know it is South 17th, but I wanted for the viewing community to have an idea of where it's located and the building that it used to be. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Any further discussion? This is for action this evening, board. What say you?
Madam President, I move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee Rivera, second by Trustee Kittleman. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. 10D6, discussion and possible action on a resolution to uncommit a certain sum from committed fund balance local 191 and transfer to general fund 199. Dr. Gutierrez.
Yes, Madam President and board members, first of all, I'd like to say a few words about this item. I want to thank all the members who spoke in public comments in regards to this item. As a school district, we believe in partnerships, and we believe that working with the city, with the museum, the county is very important for our children, and I want to thank you all for coming out and expressing your concerns about this item. We are in a very difficult situation as school districts across Texas, not just McAllen ISD, with funding. As you know, in Austin, the legislature is still holding up about $4 billion in school funds, and we don't know when that's going to be resolved. In our district, our budget is due on June 30th, and so we're trying to see how we can continue operating the district with all the needs that our kids need. So at no time did we want to take away from any partnerships. It's just that we're just trying to see how we can make it work for next year's budget, assuming the state doesn't give us anything. And that's what we're trying to do. However, I believe that we need to sit at the table and continue to work together and communicate and see how we can move forward. And so I'm recommending that for the board tonight to consider action only on item A and to leave item B on Quinta Mazatlan and IMAS for further discussion and continue to work with our partners to see how we can continue doing what we can in the community for our children. And so at this time, I'd like to just take out that item and not take any action, and so that we can continue working and negotiating this item and just consider item A.
So trustees, to be clear, Dr. Gutierrez is pulling item 10.6B, so there will be no discussion. The discussion will be limited to item 10.6A.
Yeah, that's correct.
Trustee Saldivar?
Yeah. The item is actually on the agenda, duly posted, and we've had some discussions. And during those discussions, there was concern that some of those discussions, the public needed to know. And so I think we need to make it a formal position on the board as to what direction we wish to take. And so, I'm prepared to make a motion similar to what Dr. Gutierrez is stating, but I think the board should make that decision and give him that directive as to what we intend and would like to see, and which is a latitude of negotiation. And so I'm prepared to make that motion. I don't know if somebody on the floor wants to make it, but I can make it from here if you want.
Trustee Saldivar, if you'll give us 1 minute, I believe I need advice from legal counsel considering that the superintendent pulled item 10.6B and Trustee Saldivar is discussing item 10.6B. Is that allowed, or should we stop discussion on that?
No, I think you can continue discussion. I think he's correct that it was posted. So it is available now. If the board agrees that they want to pull the item, they certainly can. But having been posted, it is available for discussion if y'all want to.
Madam President, I move that the McAllen Board of Trustees direct the superintendent to enter into negotiations with contract parties to uncommit in whole or in part ESSER II local funds 194 projects, Quinta Mazatlan, and the International Museum of Arts and Science.
If there is no second, this motion dies. Is there a second?
I second that motion. And if we may discuss it. Madam President, is a discussion allowed?
First, we have to,
No,
yes.
we have a motion and a second.
Yes, we have a
We can
motion and a second.
discuss.
Trustee Saldivar has made a motion to allow the superintendent. Trustee Saldivar, could you text me your exact motion so I don't get it wrong when I restate it while we're discussing it? So when we're done discussing, I can give the correct verbiage, because I did not write it down. I know you were very intentional in what you said.
Yes, ma'am. It's really directing him as a board that we'd like to enter into negotiations with the parties concerned, and hopefully there's a remedy that can be reached and brought to the board's attention at a later date. That's all I'm asking, which is formalizing that, so everybody's aware of what we're attempting to do.
We just want to have further discussions, is what he's saying, right?
Okay.
Is that it? Trustee Saldivar, you're just saying we're allowing the superintendent to go and have further discussions, in a nutshell.
On the board's behalf, which means it would come back to the board for consideration at a later date.
At a later date.
And Madam President, what I...
This is the usual process. This is the way, when it comes to matters in which items have been brought to the board's attention, that the board would give directives to the board. That's in the Texas Education Code, by the way.
Thank you,
Well,
Trustee Saldivar. Trustee Kittleman?
Well, it's unusual in the fact that this 3 years ago was agreed upon by the former board, signed, sealed, and delivered with MOUs. And so I feel that I'm a little unclear on negotiations, if we can discuss more of our ideas, because I know in our workshop we had discussed a few things, but it does feel a little shocking to already be moving into this negotiation phase. I just don't know what that means and what the intentions of the board are with negotiation.
Madam President, if I may, I think that
Trustee Kittleman, are you?
Oh, yes.
Thank
Am
you.
I allowed to ask a question?
Yes, you are. I just didn't know if you were finished speaking.
Yeah.
Trustee Regalado?
Yes, and that's why I wanted us to have a discussion, because I know that in our workshop, we limited our discussions to what's been put on the agenda today. And I think that after that, in the community, there's kind of become a kind of a paranoia and like, what's going to happen? Are they going to pull back all of this money? And I think it's very important that we echo the sentiments of our community members here. I think that we all on this board value our partnerships. I think that also if we're able to just openly share where our financial standings are, which unfortunately is not good at all. And I think if we have that common understanding of where we're coming from, really the goal in my mind, and I only speak for myself, but in my mind, in seconding this motion, my goal is let's sit down with our community partners, share really everything on the table. This is where we're at. This is what we think we would need in order to be able to fulfill these commitments. Let's find a way to make this happen. But I know that a lot of these projects are years down the way, so maybe there's a way for us to be able to fulfill these commitments without having to do that right now. In essence, we need help from the community right now to get us through an uncertain financial time. And I think if we can accomplish that, those are the discussions that I hope the superintendent will have with these community partners.
Thank you, Trustee Regalado. Trustee Rivera?
Madam President, and I just wanted to clarify the motion, that it was to allow negotiations to begin to even see if we're able to do that. I share, just as most of us here on the board do, that we value our partnerships here in the city, and I'm sure the city and our partners, they value our relationship too. So what we're doing is calling on our partners to see if they're willing to work with us in a way or another. We all up here have a job, and that's to look out for the best interest of the students in the district. And so we want to be able to continue these partnerships that we have, and in no way is this saying that it's giving the superintendent authority to remove it. All we're doing is entering into negotiations, and that's what I just wanted for clarification. So
May I say?
Just one more. Trustee Pena, did you want to say something? You've not
I do,
spoken.
but I want to let Trustee Kittleman say what you need to say, and then I'll speak after.
Certainly.
Madam President. Okay, so I'm hearing a lot of value and valuing partnerships. What that looks like as an action is honoring projects that were already discussed and delivered and promised. And so when we say we value our community partnerships, we don't go back and pull, oh, just kidding, that was 3 years ago. You've made plans, you've made promises, you've made arrangements, and pull it back. Even though we all want the same thing, truly. We want to be able to be in a better position to pay our staff more, to get better programming, better facilities, all those things. I just don't think this is the way. I think this is like a short-term fix that will make a very negative domino effect on the city and our partners. That's my personal opinion.
Thank you, Trustee Kittleman. Trustee Pena.
I don't think, there's a lot of confusion. There's confusion with all the talk today. All of a sudden, all our phones were ringing off the wall, our email, our text messages. I appreciate every call that I got. I actually got one call. And thank you for calling me and not just texting me or emailing me. I want to hear from the community. And I think all we're doing here is saying, we all need to sit in one room and talk. Nobody's saying, Dr. Gutierrez, go pull that money. Let's break that contract. We are not in any way, shape, or at least I'm not saying that. Because of all the confusion that has occurred and the kind of hysteria over this, we all need to sit in a room and make sure that everybody knows where everybody stands and have a good discussion. At the end of the day, I firmly believe all will be well and we'll be fine. We just all need to sit in the same room, the stakeholders, the players in these two projects, because there has been just an array of confusion. No way, shape, or form saying, take that money. We're saying, let's all just talk and make sure we're all on the same page and that everybody knows where everybody is. And that's all that this is saying. But because it was an item placed on the board and it's for action, we need to take some action. So the action that I think Trustee Saldivar refers to in his very poignant motion is that we give Dr. Gutierrez and our legal team the opportunity to sit down with them too, and let's just put everything on the table and look at it and make sure we're all talking the same thing. At the end of the day, we do want what's best for all our kids in the community. That's all we're saying.
So the way that
Madam President, if I may.
Certainly, Trustee Saldivar.
Thank you, I appreciate that, I really do. I'd like to amend my original motion and change one word, and that is change the word from negotiations to enter into discussion. Now, the reason I use the word negotiation is that was a word Dr. Gutierrez has used, and I agree with that term, that I think it may be for purposes of what we are now and the concerns.
That's basically what I'm saying.
I'm suggesting
It's
changing
your
that
motion.
word into discussions with the contractual parties. Is that okay with my?
Trustee Regalado, are you okay with that amendment? Okay, so it has been amended. My issue is technically the part of, if you are allowing the superintendent to go into negotiations, you are in essence uncommitting those funds. And so it is exactly what the superintendent has on here that he pulled, because, I mean, what are you going to talk about if you're not pulling back money? So you are rescinding the contract, you are taking back a portion. The motion was to go into negotiations to discuss the funds. That does imply uncommitting money to the as to what Trustee Kittleman said, that we already have a contract with, that we had a contract with since 2021. That money was done 3 years ago. So in my mind, it's just different wording, but it's the same action. This motion is uncommitting money. It's just not the dollar amount. We're just not saying the dollar amount tonight. You're saying that the superintendent has the ability to go speak to the city of McAllen regarding IMAS and Quinta about uncommitting funds. The dollar amount is negotiable, but you're still saying that we're going to uncommit a portion. I just want to be clear on that. Am I not clear on that to our attorney? Just one moment. Trustee Saldivar, our attorney, is speaking.
My understanding of Trustee Saldivar's motion is it's going to be twofold. it seems to me that he's saying, yes, let's poll this item, but as we poll it, there's gonna be a motion that comes with it that says it's going to allow the superintendent to go and have discussions. The monies, unless the board follows through with this resolution that we have to actually relabel them and move them, they're gonna stay committed exactly as they are. They're not gonna go anywhere. Without board action, those monies are committed and they have to continue going to Quinta and they have to continue going to IMAS. That being said, if this item is polled and Mr. Trustee Saldivar's motion is approved, it directs the superintendent to begin having conversations, which obviously the public is aware of now that we're going on, previously maybe a little bit more behind closed doors, but it allows those discussions to continue in the open. And I think I'm summarizing that correctly. If I am stating that wrong, I'm happy to be correct.
Trustee Saldivar?
He's actually correct. This is the key word is discussion. There is nothing that can happen with a committed fund until the board takes action.
That's correct.
So if you would have to bring this item back, let's say he has a conversation and they both are in agreement to leave everything status quo, that's it. He just notifies the board that I've met with the city and I have no further recommendations other than what we've already acted upon a few years ago. Or he can come back and he says, I've had conversations, the city and IMAS are aware of our situation, and they made certain concessions. And then we have to vote on it. Or the third option is that he comes before the board and says, we're kind of in an impasse, I need further direction. That's generally the three things that happen when a board, under everyday business of interacting with the superintendent, gives him the necessary tools for him to do his job. And that's all we're doing. The point is, we're here, and the public needs to be clear about this. We're here not because Dr. Gutierrez came from Bronzeville to McAllen. We're here because the board of directors, the board of trustees, in June going over the budget, saw the cliff coming and knew we were in trouble. We were in trouble even before we started to further assess our situation once Dr. Gutierrez got here in late November and had a chance to review our finances with the board to point out that within the next 2 to 3, we literally have to wait until the next legislative session, unless something happens in February, to get some remedy. So we have to find all the monies we need to retain and hire staff, to pay for programs and services, to take care of our children and our staff and our families for the next 2 years. And whatever he's found so far is barely going to get us there. That's unforeseen circumstances. So I've said more than everything, but really it comes down to 3 elements. It's no more than what you just said a while ago when you were asking to pull the item. It just affirms to him that the board is giving him certain direction if this is approved. And that what he needs to bring back to us depending on those interactions with our community partners. We believe in our city, we partner together with our city and the county and others, but they have to also understand and be fully aware of the cliff that's coming. And if we want to be a vital part of this community, educate our children, the community needs to understand it takes capital to do that. It takes funding to do that, local and state funds. And we've been cut on the state level and we've been cut in the local property tax. And everybody on this board knows what that is, and we felt it in June. We're already at 6 million before we even start discussions about even staff compensation. And that's because we're paying far less than surrounding districts to attract and retain quality staff. That's all I'm saying is affirming and giving him direction. So if he's not out on a limb by himself, he's getting direction from us, and he brings back whatever he's able to discuss. And I would suggest our legal counsel be involved in that as well. But that's not part of my motion. That's up to him.
Trustee Saldivar, what are the parameters that we are giving the superintendent to discuss?
We're not asking to uncommit any funds. We're not asking to dissolve any partnerships, take any money. We are just at a point where any of our funding that we have, even the internal projects, we have to look at those projects and we have to make decisions that are going to put this district in a better place financially. So by putting this on the agenda for action, we're telling him, go over there, let's talk, because there's all kinds of things being said in the community. Today I had somebody text me, don't take the Quinta money. I'm not taking the Quinta money. We're not taking the Quinta money. We're just gonna have a discussion between all the partners to make sure everybody is clear on our financial situation and how we intend to go forth and look at every viable project. Those two are not part of that lump sum. We're taking our internal projects and we're gonna take that money and we're gonna see how we can make our financial situation better. We're just saying, go over there, talk to them. Not saying, hey, let's go as a board. It's his responsibility. We have tasked him with putting our district in a better position financially. We've been in a, and I'll say it again, I mean, I know a lot of people don't like to hear it, but we're in a situation. Our budget is in the hole. Now, we go back, we get our Vader approved, that helps. That helps cover where we were. But moving forward, we need to make sure that we're making decisions that get us out of that situation and allow us to be able to give teachers more, to do more for our kids and our staff and our community. So we're not saying go take that money. Not at all. At least that's not what I'm saying. And I believe by his motion, he's not saying. I've heard the same kind of conversation over here. We're saying, let's all sit down and talk about this. That's all we're saying. I'm telling you right now, I'm not saying go take that money. I'm saying let's all talk about where we're all at. Where are they with the project? Where are we with the project? Where are we with our finances? That's all we're saying.
Okay, so just for clarity purposes, let's say you enter in a discussion with our community partners. And let's say everyone reviews on their side and the city partners say, there's nothing we can do. We've already allocated all the funds. Then where does the conversation go? Like, where are we drawing the line?
It just comes back to the board. I think what Mr. Salivar is saying is just to formalize. It's basically what I said at the beginning, to allow me to have the discussions and on this item. I was thinking of pulling it out, but if taking formal action is just formalizes this item for me to have a discussion with Quinta and IMAS, if there's anything that we could get some remedy or some relief, because you're right, Ms. Kittleman, there is a contract that was executed for both projects about 3 years ago, and there is a contract in place. But we have to, as a district, since we're not gonna have ESSER funds available anymore after September, we're just trying to see if we could get some relief wherever we can moving forward. And if there's a possibility that perhaps, as we talk to Quinta and IMAS, that there's might be a little bit of a relief so that we can maybe recapture a few, some monies back, it would help us. But the only way we're gonna know this if we sit at the table and have that discussion, understanding that there are contracts already in place.
And a follow-up question to that, and for our lawyer, Mr. Ball, what is the legal consequence of going back on our MOU? Is there a, what could happen?
There's a whole laundry list of anything from we can be liable for fulfillment of the contract, possibly attorney's fees. There's so many variables. I'm leery of saying them all necessarily out in the open, because some of them could be that issues, and these are strictly hypothetical, and I want to say these are hypotheticals, that there could be that we are still covered through sovereign immunity and things like that. I'm not saying that that is in fact the case. I want to be very clear if anybody's watching this. I'm not saying that is in fact the case. I'm saying that there's so many variables. It could be anything from we maintain the contract as is to we sit down and we have conversations to restructure the amount that we pay, to restructuring we pay the same amount but we pay it down the road, to they say there are no options and you are bound by the contract. And if we are in fact bound by the contract, then we have to get into issues of, well, it's an MOU and it's governed under various chapters which say that sovereign immunity can be waived, but there's issues and complexities to get into that. That's such a lawyer response. I'm sorry to give it to you, but that's the best I can tell you, is the consequences are anything from we stay in the contract and we are completely obligated to we become obligated for paying the contract plus some attorney fees and such on top of it.
And Mr. Ball, Madam President, Mr. Ball, but we could discuss, that would be more appropriate to discuss in executive session, as attorney-client privilege.
Sure, I can get, certainly then I would be more comfortable getting into the research and the case law and everything that I've done, but given that, to use the legal term, the door's been open to this and we're having these discussions right now, I feel like there is some need to be able to answer these questions to make sure that the folks that are here, they're hearing at least our rationale without me getting into the details of what my advice will or won't be to y'all. I can at least speak in generalities of what the law says and what the case law interpretation of that is. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not committing us to one position or the other.
That said, though, the whole goal is not even to get there. And that's the spirit of the motion that was made, and that's the spirit of the second that I did. It contemplated a discussion, a coming to the table with community partners and saying, here, look, this is where we're at. Is there something, are there options? Let's brainstorm. Is there some way that you can help us get past this difficult juncture that we're at? And if there's not, then as the motion states and as Dr. Gutierrez understands, as he's articulated, it's come back to the board for further direction. And I think that's a different conversation that we would have to have at that time.
And Madam President, if I may,
Trustee
I think
Rivera.
what Trustee Kittleman was saying and the questions that you asked, Mr. Ball, I think that's something,
Yes.
something that would be addressed if it comes to that point. If we're not able to come to some sort of agreement with our partners. So I'm hoping in the spirit of partnership and understanding that we're all able to sit down at a table, talk together, and hopefully something works out for the benefit of everybody involved, but most importantly for the benefit of the children of our district. So.
And just like, I'm not a lawyer, and just seeing, like, there was a motion to uncommit the funds, and I want to know as a trustee, what does that mean for our district, like
I think he
legally?
changed his
So-
motion.
That wasn't the motion.
I know, but I'm saying that's where my head was at coming into this meeting today, when I saw that listed.
So that, it can be, absolutely, I can see where somebody would see it that way. But, no, at this juncture, we're just looking out for all of our funding. He's been here, 2 months? And I think that his task is to get us to a good place financially first and foremost, so that we can pay our teachers more, so that we can bring more opportunities to our kids. And we'll get to you in a second, Sam. So in no way, shape, or form are we saying tonight, hey, we're going to take the money away. We're just saying we need to look at all available funding and just see what we can keep and what we can do with that. If we come to an agreement and we don't have to touch this money, we don't have to touch this money. But at this point, it is our responsibility on this board to be fiscally responsible and to make sure that our budget is in a good place. So we didn't get here overnight, and we've been trying hard, and so this is just going to be an opportunity for everybody to sit down and talk.
I will be voting no to this motion, but before I vote no, I would like to see if the motion passes that part of the discussions with the superintendent and the city is keeping the amount the same, but the time different. Like, instead of having to pay it out in a year, we can pay it out in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I would like to see that be part of the discussion as well, as we fulfill our commitment, but we change the time constraints of it. Extend the time limits.
That's part of the discussion. We need to have those kind of discussions.
Okay, so there is a motion on the floor by Trustee Saldivar. He moved that the McAllen Board of Trustees direct the superintendent to enter into discussions with contract parties to uncommit in whole or in part ESSER 2 local funds 194 projects specific Quintet Mazatlan and the International Museum of Arts and Science. It was moved by Trustee Saldivar and seconded by Trustee Regalado.
That's not the motion that we...
Trustee Saldivar, was that your amendment? Your amendment was to change it from negotiations to discussions, correct?
That's what I suggested, and I asked if my second agreed. If the second doesn't agree, I'll leave it in negotiation.
Trustee Saldivar, I didn't hear in your motion, and forgive me because I'm a little bit under the weather, I didn't hear in your motion initially any language of uncommitting funds.
Okay. So I took the language exactly as it was presented on the Board agenda. And all I
possible.
back to our
If
board
possible.
and and tell us that. Now, if he goes and they say absolutely not, no way, no how, this is why, and he agrees with that, then he'll tell the board, look, I discussed it or I negotiated, whichever term we want to use, neither party is willing to budge from the figures that we have, and so therefore my recommendation is X, whatever X is at that time.
Thank you,
So it's
trustee.
no different.
Thank you, trustee Saldivar. Trustee Regalado, are you okay with that amendment?
I would like to see if trustee Saldivar would agree to an amendment to his original motion. I would move that the board direct the superintendent and authorize him to engage in discussions regarding the school district's present commitments with Quinta Mazatlan and IMAS, and the current MOUs with each.
Well, that's no different than mine, except mine is more specific as to where we are at this point regarding the contracts we have. See, we're not negotiating an MOU, we're discussing a possibility of there being an amicable decision on both parties to forego the contract. So we can't enter into another MOU, we have existing contracts. So I would ask you not to try to change the language because it further confuses things. The really difference between you seconding what I did the first time was changing the word negotiate to discussions, which is very similar to what you just said.
Very well. I think in the spirit of, I think it's really clear what we intend to do as a board and the discussions we've had. I'll continue to second the motion.
Okay, so to be clear, the motion made by trustee Saldivar and seconded by trustee Regalado is they move that the McAllen Board of Trustees direct the superintendent to enter into discussions with contract parties to uncommit in whole or in part ESSER 2 local funds 194 projects specific Quinta Mazatlan and the International Museum of Arts and Science. All in favor?
Aye.
I believe Mr.
Oh,
Ball has
one
something
moment.
to say.
I'm sorry.
Could you formally state you're withdrawing because you said I move?
Yes, I'm withdrawing the my amendment to trustee Saldivar's motion, and I'm seconding his amended motion.
And that's just my paranoia. I just wanted to.
I appreciate that.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much, Mr. Ball. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. Motion passes 4 with 2 dissenting. Trustee Kittleman and trustee Aliceta are voting in the negative. So now we are on to the first part.
Madam President, could you also state those of us that voted in the affirmative, please?
Yes, in the affirmative is trustee Saldivar, trustee Regalado, trustee Rivera, and trustee Peña.
Thank you.
Of course. So now we're at the beginning of 10D6, discussion and possible action on a resolution to uncommit a certain sum from committed fund balance local 194 and transfer to general fund 199. Now we're on portion A. Dr. Gutierrez.
That's correct. This is section A of, to approve the resolution to uncommit a certain sum from committed fund balance ESSER 2 local 194 and approve the transfer of ESSER 2 local funds to the general fund.
I move to approve.
I second.
It's been moved by trustee Regalado and seconded by trustee Rivera. Trustee Saldivar, do you have discussion?
Yes, unless you're not ready for this.
No, I'm absolutely ready for discussion. Trustee Saldivar, your discussion, please.
Thank you, Madam President. Again, we all value our own partnerships. Each one of us took an oath, as the other governmental entities have taken an oath of their respective areas, and therefore they are clearly trying to preserve their respective areas. As I am trying to be entrusted with the children and the taxpayers in this community of McAllen ISD, for which I really care passionately about, as we all do. But we're asking teachers to forego raises that they could get otherwise anywhere else. Okay? We're asking teachers by cutting 8% across the board minimum, some cut a lot more than that. Now they're putting more out of their pocket to pay for those things because some children can't afford, so they pay for it out of their pocket. That's the dilemma we're facing here. And so we're making this decision of stopping all projects as Dr. Gutierrez under our direction as the superintendent stop the bleeding and recapture the necessary funds to make sure that we can attract and retain high-quality individuals to provide quality education to each one of our children so they can become citizens and productive citizens and taxpayers in our society. That's what we're attempting to do, and that's on both of these actions, and this one in particular. And this was a hard one because there are some projects that we all wanted to do within the school district for which ESSER was intended for. And now we're having to stop all of those and recapture it. And it's my understanding, Dr. Gutierrez, there's no more spending, no more projects for the remaining of this school year. So while we go into budget talks, we're going to continue to be looking at how we can better reduce our staff where we need to without calling for a RIF, deal with other expenses within the district. How do we deal with our facilities? We're calling for facility study, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So can you elaborate on that as to how these efforts are underway and as to what we've already done to get to this point to cut costs in any way we could?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Saldivar. As I said earlier, this is the last year of that we have ESSER funds. This is the last opportunity that we have to recapture some of those funds and put them in our general fund. We've been advised by TA for the last 3 years since they released ESSER monies to be able to build a fund balance so that we could avoid the ESSER cliff, because eventually those monies were going away September of 2024. Well, September of 2024 is just around the corner, and McAllen ISD, from what I've seen as I look at the finances, is that it had not been building up that fund balance like they could have. Many districts did, and that is that they utilize ESSER funds to supplement other costs and then save it into fund balance. So that way, when ESSER is no longer around, and it won't be around after September 2024, there is a healthy fund balance to be able to sustain the district for another year or two until we are able to balance out. We still have this opportunity, as I was reviewing the ESSER funds with our staff, that there are some projects that probably won't be possible to complete by the deadline. And so what we're trying to do now is that we can recapture those ESSER funds, put them in general fund, and then we can be able to sustain the district another year or two until we're able to right-size, balance, and move forward. And this is what we're doing. Otherwise, we are going to go into that ESSER cliff that we've been warned about for the last 3 years. And we're just trying to sustain the finances of the district, the operations of the district, and also consider the salaries of our employees moving forward. But we need money, and we need our fund balance to be better than what it is right now. And this is an opportunity for us to do this, to transfer those remaining ESSER funds into the general fund, so that way we can be able to have a healthy fund balance and be able to work with a better budget for this coming year, 24-25, and perhaps 25-26, until we right-size and balance better as we move forward.
So to be clear, Dr. Gutierrez, this motion would take the $10.9 million away from the black boxes, $42,000 away from the natatorium, $50,000 away from the Mac-High football practice field, $1.3 million away from HVACs, $70,000 away from the bus tires. It goes on and on. So everything there totals up to $25 million. So the technology infrastructure, the tech-wired classrooms, the $4 million, the HVACs, everything there would be taken, those projects would be canceled, and all that money would be put back into the general fund.
That's correct. And this is money that we're going to be able to retain because maybe some of these projects may not be completed by the time we close on all the ESSER accounts in September. So I think we need to look at putting it in fund balance, and then from there we can decide better how we are going to utilize those funds by converting them into the fund balance. And like I said, we had not been doing that for the last 2 or 3 years, and we had not been putting anything into fund balance. And so this is kind of like what they warned us about the ESSER cliff, and this is an opportunity that we have. We have those funds that haven't been utilized to convert them and put them in fund balance.
Thank you, Dr. Gutierrez. Any further discussion? Trustee Saldivar, are you still with us?
Yes, ma'am, I'm still here. Can you see me?
He's frozen.
You're frozen, but as long as you can hear us, we're fine. Is there any further discussion?
I think that, Samuel, do you have something you'd like to say, Sophia?
Well, one of the things that, is we look at that figure, it makes to the community and those present, they say, well, wait a minute, that's $25 million right there. But right off the bat, Dr. McGinnis, we're already in a little over $6 million deficit going into this year, and we still have to deal with compensation going into next year. We're going to be competitive. So really, the 25, 8, 11 and change, you're gonna have to subtract 6 million just to balance this budget. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And then if we even hope, I mean, as it is now, for the public to be fully appreciative, we used to be able to attract 17, 18, 20-year teachers from other surrounding districts that wanted to come. And now, most of the time we look at those job descriptions, we're getting 0 or 1 or 2 year experience from other districts, which means they were probationary and left another district. So that's the experience we're now facing. Is that correct, Dr. Gutierrez?
Right.
It's not to retain, given the salaries that we start off with and the salaries we're paying and the benefits in our district.
And that's correct. And I have on screen the kind of like the bar graph that TA has been providing us for the last couple of years. If you look at the top bars, the ones to the right-hand side, the top 3, that gray area was to build that fund balance by utilizing ESSER funds in other projects and save the money, so that way, when the monies would go away, the ESSER funds, we would be sustaining for at least 2 or 3 years to avoid that ESSER cliff and have a gliding path as we right-size and balance our district's funds. So that's what we're trying to do now, and that's why we're making this recommendation to the board.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Saldivar. Any further discussion? Trustee Peña?
So, yes, thank you so much, Madam President. So by doing this, we are taking our own internal projects and saying, we need to reconsider some of these projects. We need to look at all that money as a whole and check to see what we can afford, where we can go back and look at all of these projects. Maybe we may be able to avoid going outside of that scope. These are internal projects. We don't have a memorandum of understanding with anyone at the city or any outside stakeholders for this money. This is our money that we're just saying, hey, it's on the table. Let's look at it. Let's see where our priorities are and what we can afford, while at the same time making sure that we can compensate our teachers and our staff a little bit better. And we can retain our good teachers and recruit better teachers. So I like that this is the approach that we're taking. For my first, almost 3 years on this board, I have said, stop the special funding of projects from the outside and take care of our stuff inside first. That didn't happen when we went through budget talks. I said it again and again. We need to stop spending money on projects that are going to cost us more money in the long run and take care of our teachers and our staff. And so that's what we're trying to do here, is trying to take anything that's out there that belongs to us, that's not going to interfere with any outside stakeholders, and make sure that we're using it properly and that we can meet those goals. So yes, that's all. Thank you, Madam President.
I have one more thing to say before there's actually no motion made yet, but I have an issue with the fine arts being pulled, with 100% of it being pulled. We, as a current board, went to the community at a board meeting and said that we were going to reallocate a portion of it to look at the needs of fine arts. And we were talking about maybe a fine arts wing or renovating some areas or doing something. But so much extra money went to athletics. We got a press box, we got football fields, we got baseball fields. We've got so much of the money went to athletics and none went to fine arts. And we have so many more students that participate in fine arts than we do in athletics, if I remember correctly from the numbers. So to see a portion of it pulled back would have been okay, but to see 100% of it pulled back and nothing going to fine arts, I will be voting no on this, if there is a motion made, but there is no motion made right now.
I thought there was a motion in the second.
No, not on this item.
On A, it was myself and then Mr. Rivera.
Oh, my apologies. I did not write it down. My apologies. We haven't eaten dinner yet, and I have. So a motion was made by trustee Regalado and a second was made by trustee Rivera. Is there any further discussion?
I just want to say that you're correct, Ms. Crane, that some projects were part of that ESSER, but there is a possibility, because the board approved 7 additional pennies in the INS for what they call the defeasance. There's a possibility, as we do a facility study for the district, that we may be able to borrow money without raising taxes in the very near future. And those projects are not going to be forgotten with fine arts. We will keep it in mind as part of our facility study and to be able to borrow money so that we can be able to improve our facilities is very possible in the near future, especially when we don't have to raise taxes. So we're kind of like, we know what the needs are, and we understand that fine arts is extremely important, and so that's going to be, there's going to be priorities, and that is one of the priorities moving forward.
Thank you, Dr. Gutierrez.
President.
Trustee Saldivar?
Yeah, for the reasons stated by, I believe that we needed to do something with the fine arts, and we will do something with the fine arts. I think we're all committed to that. But the reason I'm supporting the superintendent is because of the reasons you just mentioned, is we still have the defeasance and those conversations that need to place. This isn't a one and done. This is a multi-month, multi-year to get us corrected. And every step's important to line us up. So, I think it's important that we take this step and then see where we are as we get into the budget discussions going into next year. But that may be something for next year with the defeasance money that we can address.
Thank you, Trustee Saldivar. There is a motion made by Trustee Regalado, seconded by Trustee Rivera. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye, sorry, aye.
All opposed? Aye. Motion passes 5-1 with Trustee Alisada in the negative, and Trustee Saldivar, Trustee Kittleman, Trustee Regalado, Trustee Rivera, and Trustee Peña in the affirmative. We are now at item 10E, Board of Trustee items. 10E1, approval of Board of Education meeting minutes for December 18th, 2023 and January 15th, 2023. This is for action this evening. What say you, Board?
I move to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee Regalado, second by Trustee Peña. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Trustee Saldivar, are you with us?
Yes, I'm still here. I'm sorry. On my end, I can see everybody and I can see myself on the screen. It must be on your end that my image isn't showing, but I voted in the affirmative for the minute.
Thank you so much. The motion passes 6-0. Item 11, recess to closed session. The Board of Trustees may go into closed session pursuant to sections 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, and 551.076, and 551.089 of the Texas Government Code to discuss the following. 11A, discussion of human resources recommendations for the school year 23-24. 11B, discussion of human resources employee resignations and retirees for school year 23-24. 11C, discussion of recommendation for the Associate Superintendent for Instructional Leadership. 11D, discussion of recommendation for the Deputy Superintendent Business and Operations. 11E, discussion regarding school safety and security. 11F, pending and/or potential litigation, and 11G, possible real estate acquisition. At 7:13 p.m., the board will be recessing into closed session. And we will be moving, so y'all can stay here. So when we do this one, right, okay. Welcome back, everybody. We are now reconvening at 8:22 p.m. We are reconvening our 5 p.m. meeting. We are at item number 13, action on items in closed session. 13A, discussion and, and let me remind the viewers that Trustee Saldivar is via technology, so he is here, he's counted present. 13A, discussion and possible action of human resources recommendations for school year 2023-2024. Dr. Gutierrez.
Yes, Human Resources is submitting a list of recommendations for the 23-24 school year under separate cover that were discussed during closed session. Administration is recommending action on this item.
Madam President, I move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee Regalado, second by Trustee Rivera. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Item 13B, discussion of human resources, employee resignations, and retirees for school year 23-24.
Human Resources is submitting a list of resignations and retirees for the 23-24 school year under separate cover that were discussed during closed session. This item is for information purposes only.
Thank you. Item 13C, discussion and possible action of recommendation for the Associate Superintendent for Instructional Leadership. Dr. Gutierrez.
Yes, the administration recommends the approval of Ms. Jeanette Nino for the Associate Superintendent for Instructional Leadership. Once this is approved by the board, Dr. De Hoyo's title as Assistant Superintendent will also be identical as this title as Associate Superintendent for the school district. So they both would carry the same title now. The administration is recommending action on this item.
Madam President, I move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee Rivera, second by Trustee Peña. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Congratulations, Principal Nino. Oh, there she is. Item 13D, discussion and possible action on recommendation for the Deputy Superintendent Business and Operations. Dr. Gutierrez.
Yes, administration recommends the approval of Ms. Lorena Garcia for the Deputy Superintendent of Business and Operations. The administration is recommending action on this item.
Madam President, Dr. Gutierrez, I move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee Peña, second by Trustee Rivera, to name Lorena Garcia as the Deputy Superintendent of Business and Operations. What say you, Board?
Aye.
Sorry, did I do that wrong? Yes, I did. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Congratulations and welcome back. Oh, Ms. Garcia, welcome back.
Welcome back.
So congratulations to Jeanette Nino, a new Associate Superintendent for Instructional Leadership. Congratulations to Dr. De Hoyos, Associate Superintendent of Instructional Services. And congratulations to Lorena Garcia, Deputy Superintendent for Business and Operations.
Welcome, welcome.
Welcome back, and thank you so much. 13E, discussion regarding school safety and security. That was for information purposes only. 13F, pending and/or potential litigation. That is John Ball.
None.
Thank you so much. 13G, possible real estate acquisition. John Ball.
Only as directed.
Thank you so much. Item 14, schedule of future meetings. 14A, board workshop. There's a budget workshop February 12th at 4 p.m. here in the Dr. Ricardo Chapa boardroom. 14B, there's a regular board meeting on the 12th of February at 5 p.m. here in the Dr. Ricardo Chapa boardroom. 14C, there's a regular board meeting February 26th at 5 p.m. in the Dr. Ricardo Chapa boardroom. 14D, there's a board workshop regarding budget on March 8th at 4 p.m. here in the Dr. Ricardo Chapa boardroom. Did I skip? March 18th, I'm sorry. 14E, there's a regular board meeting March 18th at 5 p.m. in the Dr. Ricardo Chapa boardroom. And 14F, there's a special board meeting March 25th at 5:30 p.m. at Mac High. Before we adjourn, we just want to say thank you so much to Ms. Galvan and your Teachers Association for the Texas Classroom Teachers Association, TCTA. They provided the meals for all of us this evening, administration and the Board of Trustees, so thank you so much. It was delicious. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. And now we're at item number 15, adjournment. What say you, Board?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee Kittleman, second by Trustee Rivera. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We are adjourned at 8:27 p.m.
That was good.
That was like mass.